Hello, hello everyone. Reverend Elvia here.
And Reverend Peter.
And Ori.
Our little spawn. Not so little spawn. who's a goof cakes.
Who's all grown up.
She's all grown up. We are here at her home in Philadelphia and been here for the last week and actually about to head back, but we wanted to record a little Sunday morning grace action on the topic of beauty. So that's what we're going to be focused on here. Although we're going to start by doing a practice that Peter and I do every morning, and Ori asked if we could do it together today, and it's a practice we call calling in the day. So this is really more founded, I think, in your tradition, Peter, if you want to just share with everyone.
Absolutely. So, you know, the general idea is we're going to call in, we're going to greet the day, we're going to greet the day's energy. For us, we've studied with the Mayan elders, and we follow the Mayan human calendar, which is called the Cholkic. So you're going to hear me call in 3-ish. The Cholkic calendar is a 260-day calendar. It has 20 energies, or gods, if you will, and it has 13 powers. So 13 times 20 gets to 260. So today, of the Sunday morning grace, happens to be what's called 3-ish. And so I'll invite in that energy, and the idea taught by the elders to us is just really to connect into that energy, to see what today's energy brings, because every day it's a different vibe, it's a different energy, and if you harmonize with that, then you'll probably have a more harmonic day than if you're trying to fight against it, for example.
Very true.
All right, so as you are able, take a nice deep breath in, and we call upon 3-ish, and we ask for its energies, we ask for its gifts, we ask for its blessings, and we express gratitude for all that it brings. And I feel the energy coming in as perhaps that 3-legged stool. And sometimes when you sit on a stool, the legs are a little bit uneven, but today I'm feeling that those legs are sinking down nicely. We really have a strong base in this energy. And Ish is the compassionate force of Mother Earth. So in a way, those 3 legs of the stool are rooting into the earth, are drawing up the earth energy to us, feeding us, making us steady on our feet, and feeling connected. So we thank Ish for those gifts. Staying connected is the key to today. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Thank you, Peter. That was beautiful. Love calling in the day. It always feels so up-leveling, I guess is the word.
And if you're curious about the Mayan calendar, I have a website that you can look up any day. You can look up your birthday, for example. So we'll put the link here with the video if you're curious and want to explore.
This one. So let's talk about beauty.
Let's talk about beauty.
What are your thoughts about beauty?
Well, I don't know about beauty, but I think there's some conceptual overlap between beauty and art. I think I've asked, so I'm a painter here in Philadelphia, and I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of different kinds of artists who work in a lot of different media, and something I've been able to do as I've crossed paths with these people is ask them what they think art is, because when I was younger I felt really confused about the idea. I think
confused about the idea of what art is?
Yeah, what is it? How do you define something like that? Because it seems so like personal, like how some people can be really moved by like a painting of a big red dot on a wall, and other people think it looks like garbage. But I think that idea is really interesting, that somebody could, like, to me, because I don't resonate with that art, but I still think it's really interesting that somebody else could look at it and get a lot out of it. So the most satisfying definition that my friend Ryan here defined art as a subjective experience. So it's not a thing, and it doesn't exist purely within the outside world, and it doesn't exist purely within you. It's like a subjective experience that you're having in response to something outside of you. So I think that for me, beauty is something like that, or there's some of that characteristic in it.
I love that. And you were talking about yesterday about how, you know, or the other day, and I don't know if this was your intention, but what I heard was that in art, some artists have this intention of just creating beauty. So what is that? And that was part of your not coming to terms, but coming into a relationship with what beauty is and what it isn't. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are artists. I mean, I personally love Monet, not so much this one.
I don't like Monet at all.
She has her opinions.
I do.
But I get that, and I respect it. And I think Monet's, I don't know this, but I find his paintings to be very focused on beauty, and maybe because of that, there's a little bit of absence of realism.
Well, I think that's an interesting point. I think that gets at, he was painting what was beautiful to him.
Right.
And I think it's like what you pay attention to. Like, if you pay attention to things that the artist is paying attention to, then you might get more out of it than... Like, if you're looking for color relationships in a painting, you're going to notice that more than, like, is the anatomy in the figure drawn correctly? Depends what you're looking for.
Right. Which goes back to subjectivity.
Yeah, it's all subjective. It reminds me of the Twilight Zone that...
of course it does.
That the episode, this woman is bandaged up in the face, and
I remember this one.
It goes on that, like, I don't know whether they did a procedure or whatever. I can't remember the overall plot, but the sort of the punchline of it is this woman is worried about being ugly, and in the end they finally reveal her face, and in our standards she's a gorgeous model, like she's beautiful. But all of the rest of the people have like pig noses or sort of facial deformities.
They pull down their surgical masks at the end.
Yeah, and so to them they're beautiful, and this, what we would call a gorgeous woman, is ugly because she's, you know, she doesn't have any. She's different, but I think also sort of the theme of all the people were they had some kind of disformity, and that was, they saw beauty in that. There was a uniqueness, I would say.
Yeah.
So it, you know, again, it is very subjective.
If you guys are hearing any noises in the background, it's Ori's cat.
Our grandcats.
Our grandcats, they're having a little fun time here. Yeah.
There goes one.
There she goes. Yeah, and there's this, I had found a couple of quotes online that I loved. One, of course, by Coco Chanel, another one, Liv Tyler, and it's all about this, you know, we are perceived as beautiful when we see ourselves as beautiful. And if we see ourselves as ugly or just lacking in any way, that's what we project into the world, and that's what people don't necessarily see in us, but are able to see in us. And if we are consistent with seeing ourselves as these beautiful beings, no matter what we look like, no matter what age we are, no matter whatever about us, as we see ourselves that way, others then have the invitation and the opportunity to see us more clearly in that light.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I think people intuitively, like, assume that the way that you treat yourself is the way that you're going to treat them.
Hmm.
So I think if you're compassionate and appreciate your own beauty, that people are going to intuitively think that's how you're going to look at them too.
Hmm. Right.
And I think part of that, and part of my motivation for doing human design, and you knew I was going to go there.
We all know he's going to go there. It's Mo.
is seeing your uniqueness. We all have some kind of uniqueness, whether it's our sense of humor, the way we dress, something about our appearance, something about what we'd like to do. We all have uniqueness that makes the world beautiful, and embracing that, as Reverend Elvia was saying, is a key to bringing out the beauty in all of us.
I would agree. And I love that Snake chose now to have a playtime. And Snake is her cat.
She's thrashing.
We're in the process of moving out. We've had our bed in the living room here, and so there's all this extra space, and I think the cats see beauty in that jungle gym of space.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities.
So speaking of opportunities, just because we have such a gift of having you part of this, and he brought up human design, I'm just curious. How do you feel like human design has impacted you personally? Or has it impacted you personally?
It's a big question.
Answer it honestly.
That's a big question. I think probably a lot of things, but I think probably the most, the aspect of it that's really made the most sense to me is that I'm gate of extremes. And so, my dad's been telling me that I'm gate of extremes for like 10 years. But a year ago I got diagnosed with bipolar, and it kind of put a lot of things into context. I feel like it's harder to have compassion for yourself or others when you don't understand things. And for me, because I feel emotions very strongly, and I have had different extremities of that. I think learning about gate of extremes, this isn't like a problem. This isn't it's a problem if it causes you stress, but it's not inherently a problem. And so human design gave me a framework to think about it like that. And that's just how I'm made. So it's a, with that information you can kind of engineer your life and your behavior and your choices around it to kind of support that dynamic instead of, feeling ashamed or like something's wrong. It's a big shift, I think, in perspective. And so human design really helped me like that.
I love that.
And I think that gets back to the previous point that having that shift allows you to see yourself
right.
as the beauty that you're designed with.
Right. Like a little flower who bites.
I'm a piranha plant.
Yeah. So, other thoughts on beauty? I feel like there's one more little thing coming in.
Nugget.
I do feel like I was thinking about this as I was lying in bed this morning, is that there's this essence of understanding that whatever is happening in life right now, whatever it is inherently beautiful. Even if it is painful, even if it sucks. I mean, you just had surgery.
I did.
And she's got her hand in a cast, and I think if you can't see it as inherently, she's been calling it her claw. If you can't see it as inherently beautiful, then you're fighting the experience.
Yeah.
Does that resonate for you?
I think so.
Doesn't have to.
It's a lot to process.
Right.
It's a lot of information to process.
What I said, or your hand?
What you said.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I would just add that I think it's connecting to that beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at a building and like, oh wow, that's like a really cool building at kind of a superficial level, or you can connect that building and really connect, and it's like, wow, look at the way that they made the skyline, look at the way that they made the windows bulge out, or whatever it is about that building, and and connecting with that is gonna be a greater experience than just sort of oh, that's beautiful. Kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stepping into that space.
So one thought that comes to mind with respect to beauty in your experience is that her doctor drew pictures of the bones and scanned them. Like, she has a really wonderful connection with her doctor, and that's like a relationship that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Not that it's like an important relationship in your life, other than he's in the process of fixing your hand.
Mm-hmm.
But he sounds like a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
And sounds like he does things differently in his practice than other doctors do. So, sort of an example of thinking outside the box. And is that true?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that brings up a good point, in that there's beauty in a lot of areas. So here you're talking about beauty in a relationship. Just her interaction with her doctor and her connection with her doctor. I think a lot of times when people say beauty, we think of it just as the experience, like looking at a painting or looking at a building or looking at a mountain. But there's beauty in all aspects of life, and that's one illustration, is finding the beauty in relationship.
It's everywhere. Beauty is everywhere.
Well, I wouldn't have had this week with you guys if I hadn't needed the surgery.
See? There it is.
There it is.
So, we don't have any cards, but for those of you who know me through Angel Speech, there's always a way to get a message. So I'm thinking we pull one of the plates out of
Ozma of Oz by Frank L. Baum.
this one.
The gnomes.
The gnomes. So this is Ozma of Oz that I've been reading to Ori as she's been recovering. And so this is the plate that has stepped forward, the picture that has stepped forward, and it's the Gnome Kings. And I see these as I'd love to know what you both think, but I personally am seeing these as a message of just being mindful of those voices in your head and those inner critics, and that are trying to convince you that you're not the beautiful, perfect being that you are, because they just look like this. They're just trying to create trouble. They're just silly. Do you
They're
guys see
silly.
anything in that?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it.
I would just add that, to me, like, some of them are laughing, some of them are a little bit ornery.
I love this picture.
So overall, I think it depends on your perception, and you can transform that. You can transform that critic into a laughing critic,
Yeah.
or a playful critic, or whatever it is.
By thinking of them as just silly little gnomes. All right.
And that's not a misnomer.
Peter Punster
I was
over
just
here.
gonna say Peter Punster.
Beauty on the puns.
All right. So are we ready to
Call the tenants.
do the tenants? You want to
Sure.
call them?
Call them in.
So I know you probably don't know these. You can just listen and enjoy. All right. I open my heart with deep gratitude and intend today to master my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energies. I am dedicated to my spiritual practice. I surrender to my soul's purpose through sacred prayer. I own my guidance. I live in partnership with my angels. I serve with a loving heart. I am compassionate in every moment. I trust it's all good. I allow immediate forgiveness. I honor my truth. I listen to the spiritual messages within my physical body. I express myself creatively. I am one with Mother Earth, and so it is. And so it is.
And so it is.
So thank you, sweetheart, for joining us
Our
today.
guest star.
Our guest star.
Oreo.
Love and blessings to all of you. Be well. Happy May.
Love you all.